Hey, hi, you guys. Good morning, and thank you for joining me, or good day to you. We are on Numbers 10. We are leaving Sinai in this chapter. We've been in Sinai for 11 months. We've been out of Egypt for 13 months. Time flies when you're having fun, you know? Let's do a quick review of Numbers because I want you to see that we have been preparing for this day since then. Really, yeah, I could just say since then, the second month, first day. But, you know, we've, in the first month, first year, we added more people to Israel. Now this year, we're going to add even more people to Israel. So it's all preparation. It's all, you know, we had some Gers that came with us. They became Ezra men. Well, let's just start with, I'm going to go to Numbers 1. And as we know, that is where we were going to number Israel's. First day of the month, first day of the second month in the second year. We numbered Israel. Then, in chapter 2, we talked about camping and marching. Now think about this. We had been there for like 10 months, 9 months, 10 months, 10 months, where we just camped helter-skelter until Yehovah gave us the instructions on how to camp. And then did we reorganize our camp? I would think that we would have had to. And what a disarray, seems to me, that it would have been before that. We've come a long ways. When we traveled to Sinai, we had the cloud, we had Moses, but we had no real leaders to guide us. Though we did see in the 15th chapter that he appointed people, men, over thousands, over 500s, over 50s, over 10s. So that gave us a little bit of order, but that didn't change, I wouldn't think, the way we marched at all. We're just following the cloud. I suppose everybody just kind of fell in line together. But was there any kind of organization to that march? I have my doubts. So then, in chapter 3, the Levites are chosen because, remember, they weren't numbered. He said, number the tribes of Israel, but not the Levites. Now the Levites were numbered, and they were set apart for service instead of the firstborn of Israel, set apart to really work with the priests. The Levites worked with the priests. Then we got the Levites carrying duties. And remember, we saw that the Kohathites, which is the same tribe that, remember, we're talking about sons of Levi, Kohathites, Girgashites, Merarites. The Kohathites were where Aaron and his seed were part of. Aaron and his seed are Kohathites, and they're Levites. But not all the Kohathites are Levites. So we had that tribe. Then we had the Girgashites. Remember the Kohathites, they were taking the holy things. They were in charge of carrying the holy things. Then we had the Girgashites. They carried what I described as the hard goods. No, the soft goods. All the tents, all the curtains that went around the tabernacle. These curtains, the stuff that went on top, the curtains that were on the front, not the curtain here between the holy place and the most holy place. That was what we used to cover the ark. And then the sons of Merari. What am I doing here? Why is this not going? There we go. Oh, took it right out of there. I didn't know I could do that. The sons of Merari, the Merarites, they carried the hard goods. Because once the soft goods were off, then they were in charge of all really the heavy stuff. That's why they got several wagons where the Girgashites didn't get very many wagons. They had just a couple. So that was the order. And we saw that Eleazar was in charge of the Kohathites, the oldest of the two boys that were left. And Ithamar was in charge of both the Girgashites and the Merarites. We'll see that today. Then we had law of jealousy. We had vows. Then we had a dedication. This is so weird because this is back in the first month, even though we're in the second month. So we're seeing how Torah was jumping back and forth between first month and second month of the second year. Then, this was last week. No, I guess this was 2 weeks ago. The Levites were cleansed and set apart to be, I forget what they're, it's almost like a gift to the priests to serve them. And then finally, last week, we talked about the Passover again. This was the first Passover. So again, we went back to the first month, even though we counted in the second month all the people. It's jumping back and forth. But today, we are in the second month. Oh, you know what? I have to talk about this as long as we're here. Remember, we're adding people. Every time we keep a Passover, we're adding Ezra men to the people of Israel, Israel's seed. Because that's when the Ger can circumcise himself, all the men of his household, and become the Ezra man. It's also, just so we understand this, it is the time that a man has his sins forgiven him. You know what? We have learned lies, worthless and unprofitable things. Look at what it says here in verse 13. It says, but the man who is clean and not on a journey, because remember, he was talking about, we were unclean. We weren't able to keep the Passover in the first month. And this is Jehovah telling them when they're going to do it in the second month. It says, but the man was clean and not on a journey and ceases to keep the Passover. Here's a man. He was keeping the Passover, but now he's not going to keep the Passover. You know, I hear people like that periodically. And I think, what are you doing? It says that same person, talking about the man, not a lady, says it right there, but the man. That same person shall be cut off from among his people. He's going to have to leave the camp. That means that a ger also, seems to me, now if a ger just gets there, and he's just learning. Maybe he's not ready to keep the Passover. He wants to remain as a ger. I suppose that's possible. But there becomes a point where the ger has got to make a decision. His sins are not going to be forgiven him until he makes that decision, circumcises his house and all the men of his household, and becomes Israel's seed. But look at what it says. The same person shall be cut off from among his people. He ceases to keep the Passover. That same person shall be cut off from among his people because he did not bring the offering of Yehovah at the Moed. Look what it says. That man shall bear his sin. So we have to look at this sometimes. We look at the scriptures in another way. Let's say that the man did keep the Passover at the Moed. What does that mean? It means his sins he shall not bear. His sins are going to be forgiven him. This is why we keep the Passover each year, so that we can remain in covenant with Yehovah and his son. And as his son, he shows us mercy. And because our women and our children and the ger who dwells with us are with us, following our instructions, I think that they have some mercy over Yehovah as well. Mercy over Yehovah. Yehovah has mercy over them, probably I should say. Well, these are all things that we have to think about. You know, we bring offerings to Yehovah throughout the year. Those are for things that we all of a sudden did. And we think, oh my gosh, I just sinned. I need to bring an offering to Yehovah. Okay? That's not for all the sins. That's for the particular sin. Everybody wants to tell you in the Christian church that none of these things are important anymore. I'm here to tell you that Passover is of utmost importance. You're not the you when Yehovah says, you shall have no other Elohim but me. I am Yehovah who brought thee out of the land of Egypt. You're not the thee, you're not the you. Unless you keep the Passover and have your sins forgiven. You're not Yehovah's people if you don't keep the Passover. This is why the Catholic Church has worked so hard to hide the Passover from you. This is why they're always telling you that none of those things are important. We're in a new covenant now. Well, does Yehovah change? Does Yehovah's word endure forever or not? I'm here to tell you that it doesn't change. Nothing has changed. We don't have a tabernacle. We don't have a temple right now. We don't have a priesthood. So we can't bring kata'as, ashams, those kinds of things to the altar of Yehovah. But we can still do burnt offerings. We can still do shalamim to honor our Father in heaven. Remember what it said in, what was it, Exodus. Let me just go there briefly. You know, I know this is a bit of a hiatus, but you know what? We've got to learn the ways of Yehovah. Look what it says down here. This is right after he gave us the 10 Commandments. He says, an altar of earth you shall make for me. There's no temple yet. We hadn't even got the instructions for the temple yet. But yet Jehovah says, an altar of earth you shall make for me, and you shall slaughter on it your olah, and your shalamim, your sheep, and your oxen. And look what it says. Every place where I record my name, I want to read it in here. In all the places, I'm reading right here, in all the places my name shall be remembered. Look what it says. I will come to thee and bless thee. This is why Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob brought olah and shalamim before Jehovah. Do you want to have Jehovah come to you and bless you? You got to be his. You got to be in covenant with him. Let me go back. Here we are. All right, so today we've got one more thing to do before we're ready to leave Sinai. And Jehovah's giving Moses instructions right now. I put in this chapter, we leave Sinai as a well-disciplined people marching in a very particular order. The order in which we leave makes me feel that we were arriving at Sinai. We were just a rabble, undisciplined, and disorganized. We have been prepared for this day. I put for 2 weeks. We have been preparing for this day that we leave, for 2 weeks. Probably longer. But I'm just talking about marching order and camping order and all the things that we've done. So here we are talking today. We're going to start with making silver trumpets. Here it is. Jehovah says to Moses, saying, make 2 trumpets, 2 silver trumpets for thyself. Thyself. That's yourself. That's Moses' self. Thou shalt make them of hammered work. Thou shalt use them for calling the congregation and for directing the movement of the camps. Many times it says it was done by the hand of Moses. Remember when we were even putting up the tabernacle, it says, thou shalt do this. And Moses, and it was all done by the hand of Moses. No, that means Moses is supervising it. It's Moses' responsibility to see that these trumpets are created. They're going to be made of one hammered piece of work. But Moses is not the one who's capable of doing that. There's other men that can do that for him. For calling the congregation and directing the movement of the camp. Verse 3 says, this was Jehovah telling Moses, make trumpets for thyself. Thou shalt make them of hammered work. Thou shalt use them for calling the congregation. Now, it's not Moses in particular. Again, Moses has a responsibility. Then it says, when they blow both of them, all the congregation shall gather before thee, Moses. But here's kind of a hanging pronoun. Who are they? See, these are the kinds of things we have to ask ourselves. Who's blowing the trumpets? Who's responsible for blowing the trumpets? Let's keep our eyes open, but keep the question in mind. It says, all Israel's seed comes when both trumpets are sounded. Gather the congregation before thee at the door of the Ohel Moed. Congregation. This word right here. Who's the congregation? There's many who have this children of Israel idea in their mind that ladies are coming to the tabernacle. The tabernacle of meeting. No, this is the tent of meeting. And these are not ladies that are coming. Where's the word right here that they use? It's Adah. Usually it talks about the Adah of Israel's seed, or the Adah of Israel. These are all men. They're the assembly that comes to Yehovah. And when both trumpets blow, they're the ones who gather at the door of the tent of meeting. They can't all fit inside, so they got to gather at the door. Keep in mind here we are. The door is right here, east side, only way in. So these people seem to me have to be gathering in this particular area. Now, remember, that's 303,550 men as of the first Passover before the second Passover. We've got a little bit more now since we did a second Passover in the second month to pick up a few stragglers. That's a crowded place. We're going to look at this map some more, but let's move on for now. It says in verse 4, but if they blow only one, we were blowing two to call everybody. Now we're only going to blow one. Then the leaders of the heads of the divisions of Israel. I think that's really looking at the Hebrew. It says, shall gather to you. Here's what I think it actually says. And if they blow but one, then the princes. Oh, I've got the princes twice. Then the princes. Then the princes. Israel's heads of thousands shall gather themselves unto thee. Who are the princes? Here's the word they use for princes, and it has the definite article, the Nasim. The Nasim usually gets translated as princes, but here we're talking about the princes. Israel's heads of thousands shall gather themselves to thee. Who are these men? I believe these are the men who are the heads of each tribe. Remember when Raul came with Moses's wife and sons in chapter 18. He says, what are you doing? You have all these people come to you day and night. Why are you doing this? You need to delegate some authority. Here's what he said. Moreover, you shall select from all the people able men, such as fear Elohim, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands. Not 1,000, thousands. Rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, rulers of 10s. Could the rulers of thousands be the heads of each of the tribes of Israel? I think that's the only thing that makes sense. Appointing somebody as the head of the tribe of each tribe was what we used for the thousands. Then we broke it down into, what was it? Thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. Do you see how the order is coming into place as we grow in Jehovah's ways and his understandings? Blow it once. Blow one trumpet. And the princes, Israel's heads of thousands shall gather themselves unto thee. Ooh. Now it says, and when you sound the advance, I thought this, sound the advance. Where did we learn about sounding an advance? What does an advance sound like? So you see, there's some things that they learned that we don't know a thing about. We don't know about blowing trumpets. Maybe that's something that they still did, at least to some extent. But, who's blowing these trumpets? Still got to answer that question, don't we? And here, on this verse, it changes from the second person. How did we say that? It changes from one person, talking about Moses, to all of a sudden ye, when ye sound the advance. Who's the ye? See, these are questions we have to ask. Who's ye? We were talking to Moses. When ye sound the advance, we got two things going on here. We have more than one person doing this besides Moses. Of course, Moses can't blow two trumpets anyway. So, we know that there's going to be more than one person doing it. When ye sound the advance, the camp that lies on the east side shall begin their journey. Okay, who's that? Did they say camps? Yeah, camps. That's Judah, Issachar, Zebulun are on the east side. Remember, Judah was given the kingly authority by Jacob when Reuben went and laid with Bilhah. He would have been, as the firstborn, he would have been the king, he would have been the priest, and he would have been the king, priest, and firstborn. But because of what he did with Bilhah, it seemed to me this was right after Rachel died. Jacob moved his tent near Leah's tent, and Reuben didn't like it. Maybe that's backwards, because it seems like Reuben would like that because he is Leah's son. I've got something confused in there, so I'd have to go look at it. I apologize. But because Reuben slept with Bilhah, Bilhah. That would make sense, because Bilhah is the maidservant of Leah. No, Bilhah is the maidservant of Rachel. So when Jacob moved near Bilhah's tent instead of Leah's tent or her maidservant, he got jealous. He probably thought he should move to Leah. But he went to Bilhah. That's what it was. And because of that, he took the birthright away from Reuben, gave the kingly portion to Judah, gave the priestly portion to Levi, and he gave the firstborn status, the double portion, to Joseph, who ended up getting Ephraim and Manasseh. Interesting to see how it all works out. Okay, another hiatus. I apologize for that, but these are interesting things. We got to remember these kinds of things. So here we are talking about when you sound the advance, the camps on the east side, that was what we just talked about, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, shall begin their journey. They're leading the pack. And when you sound the alarm the second time, the camps that lie on the south side shall begin their journey. And they shall sound the call for them to begin their journeys. So who is that on the south side? Gad, Simeon, Reuben. Now it says, and when the assembly is gathered together, you shall blow, ye shall blow, but not sound the advance. When the assembly is gathered together, ye shall blow, but not sound the advance. Now it says, we're going to talk about moving out with our armies here soon. But right now, he just did the east portion and the south portion. There it is, east-south. And when the assembly is to be gathered together, ye shall blow, but not sound the advance. Is that kind of like get ready? And what about the other two tribes? Or the other two sides? They didn't talk about the people on the west side, and they didn't talk about the people on the north side. These are all questions that you have to ask yourself. How come it's not finished off? We're going to see that what happens, but maybe this is just setting the precedent for when we're getting ready to leave. I don't know what to do with it. Now, finally, it tells us who actually blows the trumpets. It says, Aaron's seed, the priests, shall blow the trumpets. And these shall be to y'all, an ordinance forever throughout your generations. Yeah, there's only Eleazar and Ithamar right now. Remember, the other two boys had died in the first day of the month. Verse 9. When ye go to war in your land against the enemy who oppresses you, y'all, and you sound an alarm with the trumpets, you will be remembered before Yahovah, your Elohim, and you will be saved from your enemies. It's important that when we are going to war, that we sound the alarm. No, that Aaron's seed, the priests, whoever they will be in the future, sound the alarm. Then Yahovah, look what it says. And you will be remembered before Yahovah, your Elohim, and you will be saved from your enemies. Do you want to be saved from your enemies? I said, of course, he's talking about Israel's seed, because ladies don't go to war in Israel. Ladies aren't even allowed in the camp, the war camp in Israel. Because if they happen to be in their menses, they're going to foul the whole camp, and Yehovah can't dwell with us. No, ladies do not go to war. Ladies don't kill anything. I don't even think ladies kill animals. Of course, we live in a crazy world right now where we have taken the things that Yehovah speaks against and said they're okay, not a problem. I think it is a problem. I think we got to go back to the old ways. Walk the old paths together and learn Yehovah's ways once again, which is why I spent so much time doing this. Verse 10. Also, I wrote an article about that. Ladies not going to war. Yeah, you can look at it. There it is right there. Just pause the thing and look it up. Here we go. 10. In the day of your gladness, in your anointed feasts, at the beginning of your months, you shall blow the trumpets over your olah and over your slaughters of Shalamim. That's exactly what it says. Over your olah and over your slaughters, over the slaughters of your Shalamim. Remember, the Shalamim are the things that we're going to eat. The blood's going to go on the altar. The fat's going to go on the altar. And then we can eat it. And they shall be a memorial for you before your Elohim. You know, Yehovah's not anybody's Elohim unless they're his people. As their men. Folks, you got to move forward. There's more to learn. I am Yehovah, your Elohim. Yes, whose Elohim? Israel's Elohim. Now it came to pass in the 20th day of the second month, in the second year, that the cloud was taken up from above the tabernacle of the testimony. Taken up, period. That the cloud was taken up from above the tabernacle of the testimony, period. Be interesting to see our camp. Can you imagine what that would look like? Here's a camp. Just remember what we look like. We're all spread out, all around it. Each man has his tent, and each man has his families around him. Maybe multiple tents, maybe in the same tent, depending how big the tent is. But they have their own spot. It must be enormous to see what this would have looked like on the wilderness of Sinai, on the plain of the wilderness of Sinai. This big old pillar of smoke right over the tabernacle for everybody to see. And now, for the first time in 11 months since we've been here, it's moving. Oh my goodness. Look! The cloud! It's moving! Something's going on. You know, we've got, even today, there's things going on in the world that something's going to happen here very quickly, and we're going to say, oh my Elohim, something's happening. It's not going to be as good as this, but I think it's moving us in the general direction of hopefully in the future becoming Yehovah's people. Watch for significant things to happen. 20th day, second month, second year. Is there anything important about this particular day? What happens on the 20th day of the second month of the second year? You know? We're in second Passover. For those men that were unable to have the first Passover, this is the second Passover. $14, $15, $16, $17, $18, $19, $20. It's the last day. It's the holy day. A Sabbath day of the second Passover. And we're getting ready to leave. I'm surprised he didn't wait for the 21st. I guess there wasn't many men that were involved in it for the second Passover, but there had to be some. But this is the 20th day of the second month. The flood started on the 17th day of the second month. Any relevant information? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. And it came to pass after 7 days, this is Genesis, it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were on the earth in the 600th year of Noah's life. In the second month, 17th day of the month, on that day all the fountains of the great deep were broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. I said both happened during the days of unleavened bread. Now, did they keep the Feast of Unleavened Bread in those days? I wonder if they did. I wonder if they did. Did he have the same calendar? Could have happened. Both happened during the days of unleavened bread in the second month. Today we are leaving on the last day of the feast. Were we going anywhere in particular when we left Sinai? See, this is what we have to ask ourselves. Where are we going? Are we going anywhere? The people are going, well, the clouds are moving. Where are we going? I put, yes, we were headed towards the promised land. Yehovah has been preparing us to do the things that we were meant to do. Now, we're going to follow it up big time because we got too much Egypt in here and in here to really follow Yehovah as we should. But it appears to me that we arrived at Sinai on the 15th day of the third month. And now we are leaving on the 20th day of the second month. We were in Sinai for approximately 11 months. Here, Yashar says, and Israel's seed proceeded from Rephidim, and they encamped on the mountain of Sinai in the third month from their going forth from Egypt. I think it was just in time for Yehovah to give us the 10 Commandments. I wonder if that was Pentecost, Shavuot. Might have been. In the third month here, this is Torah's same thing. In the third month, after Israel's seed had gone out of the land of Egypt, on the same day they came to the wilderness of Sinai. So same day. If they left on the first day, 15th month, this is the third month on the same day, the 15th day. It makes sense to me. That's why I say they arrived on the 15th day of the third month. Now, it says, and Israel's seed set out from the wilderness of Sinai on their journeys. Then the cloud settled down in the wilderness of Paran. Did that all happen right now? No, this is the big picture. An overview, if you will, the 40,000-foot view of what's going to be happening. We're just getting a little bit of a heads up as readers of Jehovah's Word here. I put, where is the wilderness of Paran? You know what? I think I've got a note here. Yeah, check the map. I'm going to open my map. I haven't even opened it today. So let me open that and I'll keep talking. But this seems to be the big picture of what is happening below as they set out on their way, on their way to the wilderness of Paran. We will have at least 2 other stops on the way there. Doesn't say anything about that in this verse. It says we're going from Sinai, we're going to the wilderness of Paran. Well, here it is. This is the wilderness of Paran. Let me just open this up. Come on. File. Open. Main map. All right, here we are. Here's the wilderness of Paran. If you can get the big picture here, let me go here. This is the big picture. We're coming into the top of the Dead Sea, which is right here. Let me go back to 40. I guess I got to do 40 manually. There we go. There's 40. Wilderness of Paran. Here we are at Mount Sinai. Not on the Sinai Peninsula, in Midian. Here is kind of the wilderness of Sinai. This is probably where we were camping. This is maybe 10 miles away from Mount Sinai. Remember when Israel's seed went up to go hear Yehovah give his 10 commandments, it was only Israel's seed who went. There were no ladies. There were no bear. There were no little girls. There were no maidservants or menservants. There were no mixed multitude. Just the Israel's seed, the Gibor men, the mighty men of Yehovah went up there. What is that? Maybe, I'm guessing, I just put this here. Because you got to have a place where there's a large enough flat area to be able to camp. But it makes sense to me that it was several miles away from Mount Sinai, because the rest of the camp didn't hear Yehovah's words at Mount Sinai. They may have saw some flashing, some smoke going on in the distance, but I doubt that they heard Yehovah's words. That was meant for the men, Israel's seed. You can read about that in 19 and 20. Don't go near a woman for 3 days. No. They said, don't go near her. Don't come to your wife. No, don't go near a woman for 3 days is what it actually says. The men had to stay clean because they were going to the mountain of Yehovah to hear him speak. So here we are. From here, let's just do this. I can play with this a little bit. Here, if I go from here to here, to here, to here, up to here, here, up to here. What are we talking about? We're talking about 114 miles. You didn't do that the first day. So this is an overview that we're talking about right now. So now it says, 13. So they started out for the first time. Oh, isn't that interesting? This is the first time that they're starting out according to the command of Yehovah by the hand of Moses. They're going to do it in the right order. They're going to use the trumpets. They're going to move the tabernacle. They're going to take down the tabernacle and move it properly in the correct order. This is the first time, according to the command of Yehovah, By the hand of Moses. There it is, by the hand of Moses. Remember, he's the liaison between Jehovah and Israel's people. Now look at what it says. Remember, we had already talked about Judah's seed leading the group. Judah, Issachar, Zebulun. Well, here it is again. Why did they have it up above? I don't even know why they did that. The standard of the camp of Judah's seed, they said the children of Israel, no, this is Judah's seed, set out first, according to their armies. There's Zavaot. Over their army, here's the words that they used. Here's the Zavaot. Over their armies. Actually, it doesn't say Zavaot. It uses the word army, but it says their armies. Head of the army, Zavah, was Nahshon, the son of Aminadab, the prince. He's one of the princes, heads over thousands of Judah. Over the army of the tribe of Issachar's seed was Netaniah, the son of Zuar. And over the army of the tribe of Zebulun's seed was Eliab, the son of Helon. So here's the people on the east side. Here they are. These guys are heading out. Let's say they're going east. I don't know which way they're going. They're probably going to really go west. Ultimately, they're going to go west because they got to get back to the sea and then head north. But watch what happens. These guys are going first, and then look what happens. Then the tabernacle was taken down, and the sons of Gershon and the sons of Merari set out carrying the tabernacle. Soft goods, hard goods. Soft goods, hard goods. Yeah, you know what? Maybe I'm not sure. Maybe it's, I'd have to look at it to understand or to remember for sure who carried the soft goods, who carried the hard goods. I don't remember that right offhand. You want the hard goods to get there first, don't you? Because you got to put the hard goods up before you can put the soft goods up. The tents and all the soft things, the fencing that's going to go around the tabernacle. They're going right after Reuben. Right after Judah. So one group, the east side group, is going to go out. Here, let's do this. Think about this for a second. Here we have these guys leaving. Now we have the tabernacle being taken down. The Kohathites are going to take the holy things. Here's the holy things. Here's the tabernacle. The Kohathites are going to take the ark, the veil that goes between the holy place and the most holy place, the table of showbread, the lampstand, the incense altar, the laver, and the bronze altar. They're going to clear that space for the rest of the Levites. The Levites can't even see that. The Kohathites can't even see that. Only the priests are going to cover up, and the priests aren't even going to look at the ark. They're going to take down the soft cover, the place in between the holy place and the most holy place. They're going to take down that cloth and cover the tabernacle with it. Oh, so interesting. So nobody's going to see the ark. Okay, so the Kohathites are going to take everything out. Here they are. They're going to bring it to their camp. The Merarites and the Girgashites, I have to think the Merarites are probably doing the hard goods and the Girgashites are doing the soft goods. Because, no, maybe it's the other way around, because I think the Girgashites are going to go next after these guys, the Girgashites, and then the Merarites. Then we're going to see that Gad, Reuben is the leader. Reuben, Simeon, Gad are going to go next. And then the Kohathites. They're going to be in the middle of the camp. The holy things, the Ark of the Covenant, is going to be in the middle of the camp. This is very well organized. At first I thought, well, why didn't they have... it seems like the Kohathites should have been up here and the Merarites would be out here, since we're kind of dispersing this way around. But then I realized, oh, no, there isn't going to be a tabernacle there to be in a way. So these guys are going to be able to go, and then these guys are going to be able to go. They're going to follow right after Judah and Issachar, Zebulun. All right. So let's continue. Here we are, Zebulun. Then the tabernacle was taken down, and Gershon and Merari set out carrying the tabernacle. Now we have the standard of the camp of Reuben set out according to their armies. Over their army was Elazar, the son of Shedior. Over the army of the tribe of Simeon's seed was Shelemiel, the son of Shaddai. And over the army of Gad's seed was Asaph, the son of Duel. So there's the second group. Those are people on the south side. Where did it say south side? According to armies. Well, they are. Here they are. South side. Gad, Simeon, Reuben. Now it says, and the Kohathites. Then the Kohathites set out, carrying the holy things. The tabernacle would be prepared. So the tabernacle would be prepared for their arrival. So the first two tribes of the Levites, one carrying the soft goods, one carrying the hard goods, are going to get there. The hard goods are going to be set up. The soft goods are going to be set up. And then by the time the Kohathites arrive, they'll be able to bring the holy things right into the place and set them down. Now, we have the people on the west side. This is Ephraim. Here it is. Ephraim, Manasseh, Benjamin. And the standard of the camp of Ephraim's seed, set out according to their armies. Over their army was Elishama, the son of Amminahud. And the army of the tribe of Manasseh was Gimliel, something like that, of Pedazor, so Ben Pedazor. And over the army of the tribe of Benjamin was Abidan ben Gideoni. Then the standard of the camp of the children of Dan, the rear guard of the camps. Dan is the one that's coming next. They're all filtering around the circle. According to their armies. Over their armies was Chiazar, the son of Ammishaddai. Over the army of the tribe of Asher's seed was Pagiel ben Akron. And over the army of the tribe of Naphtali's seed was Akira, the son of Anan. Thus was the order of the march of Israel's seed. Boy, they arrived in a rabble and left very organized. Thus was the order of the march of Israel's seed according to their armies when they began their journey. Now, here's just a little hiatus again. And Moses said to Hobab. Hobab? Who is Hobab? The son of Reuel, the Midianite, Moses' father-in-law. That makes Hobab Moses' brother-in-law. Hobab, being a Midianite, and they're in the land of Midian, would have certain knowledge that would be beneficial to Moses and Israel's seed as they traveled. It's one thing to follow the pillar of fire and smoke, but you got to be able to pick your path as you go. And I think that's why he's talking to Hobab. Let's look. We are setting out for the place of which Jehovah said, I will give it to you. He's setting out for where? He's setting out for the land of promise, the promised lands. He's planning on bringing them to right now. They're not going to make it for another 40 years. But this is where they're going. Come with us, and we will treat you well. For Jehovah has promised good things to Israel. But look at what Hobab says. Oh, I have a note here. It's Hobab. It's Kovab. Kovab. Not Ho. Kovab. Kovab, the Kenite, son of Hobab's seed, the Kenite, Hobab's seed, he says, the father-in-law of Moses. This is in Judges. Calls him the father-in-law of Moses. No, Hobab is the brother-in-law of Moses, not the father-in-law of Moses. And it's Reuel has separated himself from the Kenites. Well, we don't need to go with any more of that. Let me just read. Here's what he says. And he said to him, I will not go, but I will depart to my own land and my relatives. He wants to stay with his relatives. Here's the word for relatives. It's kind of interesting. Molati. It's led is probably the root in this. And here it is. Led means to bear, child, kindred. But it's mainly about bearing. Well, here is a boy, and this Yeled. Still the same root, led, but Yeled is boy, and Yeledah is girl. I think that's fun. Kindred is what this particular word means, going to my kindred. So Moses said, please, do not leave, inasmuch as you know how we are to camp in the wilderness. And you can be our eyes. See, he's got knowledge about the area. He was raised there. He knows the area well. Moses wants his help. And it shall be, if you go with us, indeed, it shall be that whatever good Jehovah will do for us, the same we will do for you. He's not one of Israel's seed, but Moses is promising him that he will be treated like he is Moses' seed. It just goes and it says, so they departed. We don't know, did he go with them or did he not go with them? Nothing tells us. So they departed from Jehovah's mountain. What does my note here say? Oh, yeah. Did Kovab go with them or not? I don't know. So they departed. From Har Yehovah, from Jehovah's mountain. This is the mountain of Jehovah. No, this is Jehovah's mountain. This is where Jehovah dwells. He's the Elohim on the mountain, it always says. No, he is the Elohim on the mountain. On the journey of 3 days. And the ark of the covenant of Jehovah went before them. Well, did it go before them or did it go in the midst of them? We just saw that it was in the midst of them. The pillar of smoke and fire, which I believe is Jehovah leading them, went before them. But the Ark of the Covenant, no, I think that was in their midst. Went before them for 3 days journey to search out a resting place for them. Just a few more verses. And the cloud of Jehovah was above them by day when they went out from the camp. By day when they went out from the camp. So it was, here, let me do this. Jehovah's cloud. This is Jehovah's cloud. Just like Jehovah's mountain. This is Jehovah's cloud. They put the cloud of Jehovah. No, this is Jehovah's cloud. Was above them by day and went out from the camp. And it was whenever the ark set out, that the ark set out. Is the ark setting out or is the cloud setting out? That Moses said, rise up, Jehovah, let your enemies be scattered. And let those who hate you flee before you. And I say the cloud is leading them. You know, wherever you see this, know that it's just dramatic writing. There is no O in Torah that I've seen. They love to add this O, but all it says is rise up, Jehovah. Here, I got a note here. And it came to pass when the ark set forward, that Moses said, rise up, Jehovah, and let thy enemies be scattered. Yeah, that's what it says. No O. And when it rested, he said, return, Jehovah, to the many thousands of Israel. How many thousands of Israel? 303,550 at last count. Plus their women, their children, their ger and maidservants and menservants. Big crowd. Well, we're going to stop here today. Next week, they're going to follow their flesh. You know, something new has happened. They were content. Well, they were at Sinai eating the manna in the wilderness. And now things are changing, and they want even more changes to occur. Well, we're going to talk about that next week. Thank you so much for joining me today, and Yehovah be with you. Catch you later. Bye now.